Hello backpackers, this is Juan from Juan Backpacks and I'm here today with another trail tested review. This time we're going to be reviewing the Nitecore NU25 rechargeable headlamp. And I'm going to have my opinion of this piece of equipment after using it for about 2 years now. I did a first look at it a while back and now I'm ready to do a review. I've had some extensive use with it in the field. I've actually used it to backpack the John Muir Trail for an entire almost month of backpacking. Use this headlamp only. I used it this year on the High Sierra Trail, and I've used it on smaller, 2-3 day trips here in Pennsylvania over the past 2 years. And also I've used it around the house. So when I have to go outside for something in the yard and it's nighttime or whatever, go out back to the garden shed and look for something, I throw on my headlamp and go out there. So this has been really useful for me beyond even backpacking. So let's talk about some of the specs first that kind of drew me to this thing, and then we're going to talk about how it performed in the field. So first off, the weight. On my scale, 1.1 ounces with this bungee strap. So even with the other strap, it's not that heavy at all. So I love the weight, and you'll love the weight too in backpacking. The headlamp itself, the white light, goes up to 360 looms. So it has 3 different modes. So here we go. 1, first, second, woo, man, look at that. Third, blanks it right out. There we go. So that's 3 modes there. And then also if I hold down the same button, it turns on a 20 lumen LED that's separate from that headlamp. So that's pretty cool. So you basically got 4 settings for the white light. The other thing this thing does that I actually love about it is the red light. And so it's got 3 different modes for the red light. It's got a low mode for red, it's got a little bit higher mode for red, and then it's got a flashing, oops, didn't do it fast enough, flashing red, like an emergency flashing red. So if you need to signal somebody, even you could probably use this in your vehicle along the road or something like that, right? So that's 3 modes there on the red light. Then also it has a locking mode. I don't even remember how to engage the locking mode, so that's kind of one of my pet peeves. That's a little bit hard to remember. I wish I had a different way to lock it. It recharges, and it recharges through a USB port here at the bottom. And so I like the fact that it is rechargeable. It's a lot better than carrying batteries, and that's one of the things that makes this thing so lightweight, because it doesn't have like cadmium batteries in it and those types of things. So let's look at some of the things that I like about this headlamp as I've been using it in my longer through hikes and in the weekend trips I've been doing. Weight. It's always great to lower your base weight, right? And this definitely lowers your base weight by investing in this light. It recharges really easy in the field. I use a NB10000 recharging battery that's made by Nitecore as well. Don't have to have that particular battery. It's just the one I use, and it recharges it very quickly through the USB port down here in the bottom. You can see there's kind of a water resistant cover, rubber cover, and you just pull that off. The battery power lasts a long time in this. Now I didn't time it. There's estimates on their website, and I'll throw a link in down below about how long a fully charged will last. I used it a lot on the JMT to hike like about an hour before it got light, because we left early every day to try to avoid the sun and the afternoon storms on the passes. And so it was extremely useful for night hiking, and the light worked really well for night hiking. But the battery lasted like for 2 or 3 days of doing that easily, plus in the evenings when we used the light as well. So I really didn't find that the batteries were getting chewed up quickly. As a matter of fact, I was basically, all the times I've used, I'm basically just topping it off a little bit once in a while. The simple operation is really nice because it's only got 2 buttons on the top, one for the white light controls, one for the red light controls, and that makes it super easy to figure out. The other thing is the red light. If you don't have a headlamp with a red light, do yourself a favor, even if it's not this one, get a headlamp with a red light. It's so nice when you happen to be camping around other people and you have that red light, because you're not going to spot their tents. I think that's really important, because I've had my tent, like people looking around at night and stuff like that, looking in at the tent, it's just kind of, you know, wakes you up. It's just kind of not a good thing to do. The red light keeps you from doing that because it kind of, you know, just stays kind of local. It's also really nice to use in the tent, and it doesn't affect your nighttime vision. So it's not with the white light, you know, you get used to that light and your eyes open up, and then all of a sudden when you shut it off, you're like looking out, you're outside or whatever, or looking around, and it's hard to get your eyes to adjust to the lighting again. With the red light, you can just keep the red light on, turn it off, and if you're in dimmer situations, you can still see a little bit if you got a little bit of residual light there in the nighttime in your tent, or light, I mean, coming in from like the moon or whatever it is. So the red light's really good for that too, but I really like it because it doesn't cast light on other people's tents. I know that, you know, a little story here. We were at Crabtree Meadows before we summited Whitney when we did the High Sierra Trail just about 2 weeks ago. And I can't tell you the army of people that were leaving just before light and needed to go down to the privy, down at the bottom of the grove of trees on the meadow, that went past our tent and literally just spotlighted our tent for like an hour and a half as everybody was waking up and going down to use the privy in the morning. And there was a lot of people. There was like this big group for whatever reason that was there going up to the summit of Whitney. I don't have a big deal about a lot of people being around in areas like that. It doesn't bother me at all, but it would be nice if people had red light, it wouldn't shine the tent. And I try to do the same and be respectful of other people. So I love the red light, and I talked about that as ad nauseum. Now, as far as things that don't work with this light, I got to be honest with you. Like, I am hard on gear, and this piece of gear, nothing is broken down except for one thing. I literally pulled the rubber piece off of the hinge when I was messing around with it one day and trying to pull this out and recharge it. I think that was more user error because, I mean, I really cranked on it, honestly. I really pulled on it, and it's not surprising I broke it like that. That's the only thing that's really gone wrong. I truly 100% believe that was me. That was me. Other than that, the other thing that I'd really like to see is an easier way to lock it so that it doesn't actually turn on in your dry bag or in your pack. I can't even remember how to engage the lock, and I think it's fairly simple. It might be to push down on both buttons, hold them for a certain number of seconds, but I don't know how to disengage the lock. And it would be nice if there was just like a lock button on here, or that was protected in some way, or some other easier way. Because like I said, I can't remember how to do it. And I've looked it up, and I still can't remember it every time I look it up. So, and I can function or use the lights, you know, well, but I just can't figure out the lock. So if you're gonna put a lock on something, maybe put it on in a different way or easier way to put it on and off. That was my only real beef with the light, and that's not much of a beef to be honest with you. So the Nitecore NU25, used it for about 2 years now. Used it on several long trips in the Sierra. Used it extensively and around the house, and I think it's a great product. I have had no issues with it, with the battery life in 2 years, anything like that. So NU25, if you're looking for a new headlamp, definitely take a look at this, and it might be something that fits into your backpacking kit. So until next time, get out there and do some backpacking and some hiking, and stop watching YouTube videos. Unless they're mine, then watch every single one of them and every single minute. I will see you on my next video.